So today I've got a number of things I need to do. One is to oh, there it is. All you need to do is soak a pen and it will be fine. Soak it in water. That fixes almost anything. Today I'll be doing a live thing with Wasky Squirrel, and he's going to talk about my sketching pens. Sketching with pens, and how I go about doing it. And I'm not sure how the conversation will go. I have a few things that I will show you folks from my past, which you might enjoy. And I'm enjoying looking at them. Hard to get a more perfect pen than this. Eye drop fill, screw cap, screw section, Swan. A swan can swim while sitting down. For pure conceit, he takes the crown. Is how an Ogden Nash poem goes. God, this is hard to get apart. Come on. Why are you stuck? It's like it starts to unscrew. There, look at that. All of this crud is coming out of here. This is all dried ink. And those dried ink things are probably from 100 years ago. 100-year-old dried ink. Anyway, these are pens that I was going through yesterday and trying to decide which ones I can say goodbye to. And I don't think I can say goodbye to any of these. I think I'll say goodbye to one of these overfeeds, but I don't know whether my friend from California is going to want them or not. He's a pen user, not so much a pen collector, but the which way does this unscrew again? There we go. It's unscrewing now. Thank you. New sack needed. Why is that sack so small? Why did I or someone else make us put such a small sack in here? Is there a reason? I'll find out. Is the lever system on this pen so complicated that it takes up half the barrel? Well, it should go all the way back to there, so I can put a bigger sack in this one. This goes into the put a sack in pile. Maybe. Well, I'll put a sack in it anyway. This one is its mate, and one of these I may decide to sell. Let's see if I can get this one apart. Come on. It's not unscrewing yet. If I can't unscrew it, I'm not going to sell the other one. These pens are sort of neat because they're hard rubber and they're made at a time. They were made at a time when hard rubber pens were not really being made by anyone. They must have had a big vat of hard rubber, and they thought, let's just give it a shot again. Let's make some hard rubber pens for those old timers. They may have marketed this pen. A lot of times pens that look kind of old-fashioned or maybe are kind of plain, when a lot of people were buying fancy plastics and stuff, is, I think, this is just a guess, I have no idea whether it's true or not, is that they thought, well, we got all this old stuff, let's market it to students or artists, and they don't care. Artists don't care what their pen looks like. So they made them black without fancy trim. They're not, artists aren't trying to impress anyone. It goes back. So I got this fixed, right? Yes. And I got this fixed. It's unstuck. So these will go back in my collection. So where's my back in my collection pile? Okay. Such an interesting pen, this, with its metal threads. I like it. I like it, I tell you, I like it. See this little brown area? I just did that from soaking it. Sometimes when you soak hard rubber, it does discolor, but there are things you can get that will make it black again. The heat, body heat, will also oxidize, or whatever the word is, hard rubber to make it brown or tan in color. I'm going to get out the pliers just to see if I can unscrew this. I know this is something people don't like watching, but you can turn away. So what I use this glove, this is my plier glove. I wrap that around the section. No, it's still not coming. So I'm just going to put it back and let it soak some more. Heat is another thing you can use to help tight pieces. Some people use heat guns. Some people like me use a candle and a match, and I hold the thing above until it gets sufficiently warm, and then I deal with it. I put a sack on this pen. Can't I? Yes, I can, Pierre. Where's my sack? Put her on her. I think this also needs a pressure bar. Maybe not. No, I think it's in there. So put a sack on this pen. Yep. And put a sack on this pen. There's a sack on it. It's a twisted sack. So it was twisted so the ink didn't make it all the way out. Does this have a pressure bar? Yep. Put a sack on here. Very snug pen. Somehow this feels like the silver is thicker in dimension than this one. Now this seems like a thinner piece of silver, where this one seems very thick. They probably changed their recipe over the years. Well, let's put some sacks on these things while I'm sitting here. Here's my gallon of shellac. Now, what you like is really, really sticky shellac. When you buy shellac at the hardware store or the paint store, it's very watery. And you apply it with a stick or a brush or Q-tip or whatever you use. I'm using a chopstick, a metal chopstick. Doesn't have to be metal. It could be a wooden chopstick. Could be a plastic. Could be a chopstick made entirely of ivory or jade. I won't be happy till I have one made entirely of jade. It's an Noel Coward play about a mahjong set. I shan't be happy till I have one made entirely of jade. So, but if you put it on if it's too watery, this might slide off. Hey, Levin. Oh, I'm so happy, Levin. I like you. I like that you find I make your day calm and restful, or whatever. I'll take a look at what you've sent me on WhatsApp in a second. So you want your shellac to be a little gooey and gummy, because that is stickier, and it will be more likely to not slide off the sack nipple. Ta-da! Let's see. Okay, what are you doing? You're not supposed to do that. This is a very tight nib. Why is this so tight? How did this nib get born in the Waterman factory? Waterman nibs have the dominant DNA trait is flexibility. So it's when two kind of stiff nibs get together and have baby, it might become stiffer. There, lovely pen. This is a pen that I like to carry when I'm doing my calligraphing names at a bar. Last night I calligraphed a name and got a free beer out of it. What were their names? Justin, and her name was Sophia? No, something. C starts with a C. Anyway, I'll get right to you, Levin, in 1 second. Let me just put this down over here. Okay. Can't wait. I've messaged you. Melting, you make me envious. I make you envious. Envy is a sin there, Levin. You can't be envious. I'm just looking at oh, okay. Let me do this. My visitors from California just texted me wanting to meet today earlier, so my house is not nearly as tidy as it should have been. How many swans do I have? I have maybe 60 or 70. 60, maybe. Okay, back to whom? Levin. There we go. Let's see what you sent me. Chats. Oh, what a lovely drawing, painting. What kind of painting is this? Is it watercolor or oil? You can't have all of them, 11. You can't have all my swans. I might sell you one or two, but you can't have all. It took me hours yesterday to go through to see which ones are duplicates and which ones I might sell to Cesar today or tomorrow. And it doesn't mean that I won't have, I'm not going to sell all my pens to Cesar. So there's no worry about that, Levin. Some of them will be for you. Hey, Atomic. So today I'll be interviewed by and having a conversation with Wasky Squirrel at 3:30. And that's my plan. I used to buy almost all the, well, here's how my pen collection worked. I'll give you how that the pie chart of my pen collection, my pen collecting history looks like this. It goes from I learned about vintage fountain pens when I was a senior in college on All Things Considered, which is a American National Public Radio news program. It must have been a short or a no news day, because they did have an article about handwriting. It was National Handwriting Day, which is the birthday of John Hancock. And they interviewed this woman who ran a pen store in Minneapolis, and that's where I'm from. I've never heard about this pen store before, and I went to her shop the next weekend, and I said, I want a pen that has a flexible nib that I can do something like this with. And I showed her an example that I did using a dip nib, a Crow-Quill pen, I think it was, forget now. And she said, oh, I've got something like that. And she found the nib and put it in a symphony pen, an Eversharp Symphony. And she also sold me this modern Parker pen. She said it's the coming thing, and I believed her. It's one of the stupidest pens. It looks kind of cool, but it never wrote very well, that Parker made in the late 70s or early 80s. And then I bought a nice little Conklin pen that looked kind of like this. It turns out it was a Conklin cap and a gold bond barrel or something, but it had a nice nib in it. So I got, my pen collection went from 0 to 3. Then I went to graduate school, and every few weeks I would go back and get another few pens. So it would maybe go to 10. And I also went to antique shops. I had always gone to antique shops when I was a kid. And if I found a vintage fountain pen, I would buy it. So then I remember having, when I was in college, in grad school, I had a little tiny box, little tin box about this big. And my entire pen collection could fit in that box. So that was maybe 40 pens. Then I moved to Boston, and I kept buying other pens. And the woman that ran the pen shop died, and her heirs sold the company to people that lived in Minnesota that were pen collectors, and they ran a mail order catalog. I never bought a pen from them, but I would buy rubber sacks from them. That's where I got my rubber sacks. So I would fix my own pens, and maybe I had 100, and that went to 200. And I used to buy only pens at a flea market. I'd only buy pens that had flexible nibs. Rarely would I buy a pen that has a stiff nib. But one of the pens I bought that had a stiff nib, because it was so pretty, was a blue duofold Senior and lapis blue. And I said, even though this is a stiff nib, I'm going to buy it anyway. Well, it was only $1. So I would have bought it if it had no nib. But I didn't know what pens were worth. I saw what this mail order place sold them for. So I knew that they were worth tens or hundreds of dollars in some cases. So anyway, I had maybe 250 pens. Then I got a letter in the mail, snail mail, from this company, the Good Service Pen Company. Pen store, Good Service Pen Store, which is what it was called in Minneapolis, and that's what the people that ran it after this woman died called it. And it said, Dear Peer, we are going to sell the company. Would you like to buy it? And I wrote back. I called them up, I think, on the phone. I asked my parents first if they could loan me some money. It was $7,500 for this bunch of pens and a mailing list and nibs and tools and all this other stuff. And I borrowed money from my parents, or they said they'd loan me money, but I drove up there the next day in a rented van, and I gave them a check, and I said, you can't cash this till Monday. And they said, that's fine, don't worry about it. I told them it was a bad check. They didn't care. They knew. They trusted me. So my collection went from 250 overnight to about 4,000 pens. So that's how that worked. And I remember seeing a pen like this. I did have a Sterling overlay Waterman in my collection, but I mean Parker duofold filigree, but I didn't have one of these. I thought, oh my God, this is beautiful. I can't believe how beautiful this is. Anyway, the van, I did go up to Vermont. This is where the store had been relocated to, that people moved to Vermont. There was me and there was 3 other people that drove up with me to see this thing, and they went sightseeing elsewhere, and they came back and we started loading this thing up, and it filled the entire van. And then there was this cabinet full of drawers that was full of pen parts, and I tied that to the roof and then went home. So it was a fun little thing that happened to me. And a lot of people, said, Pierre, this was a wrong decision. Now you have, people said, Pierre, your art career was going great, and then you bought a pen company. My art career was going pretty well, but it kept on going, even with my pen company. But the muse that I had sort of died on me for that particular artwork that I was making at the time. So, and then I started going to pen shows, and I would sell parts, I would sell pens, I'd fix pens for people, and I would go to pen shows and buy more pens. So these days, to answer your question, I get most of my pens at pen shows. No one has them you can find them at a flea market or an antique shop once in a while, but I don't bother to go there. Look at these 2 little happy pens. Levin, are you still watching me? Are you more envious now than you were before? So, Levin, what kind of, you can text me if you, rather than texting here, you could say, this looks like it's gouache or oil. It looks more gouache-like. It's a beautiful painting he just sent me that is looking out over the, not Alpine Hills, because that's I guess it's part of the Alps where he is. Muses don't die. Well, the artwork that I was doing at the time, I became less interested in it. It served me well. I have a piece of art that I did during that time in the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston, so I'm in their permanent collection. But it sort of died on me. So I have more fun. I'm trying to, in a way, This is interesting. This cap is slightly smaller than it should be. This cap is supposed to be this tall, and it is shorter. So it had been dented or tooth marked or something, and someone decided, well, we'll just make it shorter and put a thing on top. So anyway, another homemade repair. But I like homemade repairs. I think I remember buying this pen now. I showed it to David Nishimura saying, this is really neat. It has knurling on the top. I've never seen that on a Waterman. And he said, oh, know-it-all, him. He said, it's because it was those dots there that you're seeing. And it was just, the cap has been shortened. Normally you see this little ridge over the top of the cap, and here you don't see that ridge. So anyway. The story stressed you out. Don't ever come to my house and see my house, because you would have some sort of fit. I'd have to call the ambulance for you to be brought to the hospital in a straitjacket because you'd go mental. Look. That's piled up above my head. If there was an earthquake, all of those things would come tumbling down. Levin, are you still in the room? My whole house is an attic. My whole house looks like that. Okay, these two are fixed, ready to go. Put those over there. What else can I try to fix? I put a sack in this pen. Levin. Look at that sack. This part is still good. See, this is what happens when you're lazy like I am. You leave a little bit of ink in your pen sack for a decade or however long, and the ink will get hard and it'll make the sack brittle. This part is still good. If I hit it, oh, no, it's not good. Never mind. Sometimes I take a sack off and it still is pliable and it still will work perfectly fine. I used to have way fewer sacks than pens, so I wouldn't cement the sack on. I would just let the friction or the elasticity of the sack stay on the pen, hold the sack in place. And if I wanted to use a different pen, I would take that sack and stick it on the other pen, and then write with that until I got bored with it and wanted to try a different pen. So it is a way of saving, of reusing. Anyway, what's the word I want? There, this is now fixed, ready to go. No, there's lots of things that cause sacks to go bad. It's age. Rubber does get hard. Rubber parts, whether they're the rubber cylinder on a typewriter or a rubber mask for a Halloween mask or something, it does get hard and brittle. So but dried ink doesn't help, that's for sure. So my house is an absolute disaster. I wasn't expecting this California friend to arrive until Wednesday, but he wants to come by today, so I probably should at least attempt to clean the bathroom, because it's absolutely awful. A friend of mine was staying with me, and he had to clean the shower before he took a shower. It was so dirty. He couldn't imagine he'd ever get clean in such a filthy shower. So, okay, come on. Why aren't you letting me get... Yeah, like rubber bands. Is this empty of... I sort of have only one eye these days, and my sort of one eye, I see double. I have double vision because of scar tissue on my retina. So I see double, and it's like looking through a really misaligned pair of binoculars. That's what my eyeballs are like. So in order to not see double, I have to close my eyes, one eye, the bad eye, and consequently, my depth perception is gone. And I try to put a cap on a pen, and I keep missing, or a sack on a pen, and I keep missing. Okay, let's put this in. Are these the same size pen? I think they are the same size. Are they the same size? Let's find out. They are the same size. So I will sell one of these, offer for sale to one of these. Are they the same? Why is one taller? If they're not the same, I'm keeping them both. They are the same. One just screws on a little bit further, I guess. No, maybe I just didn't screw them down far enough. I don't know. I don't know what the problem is. Anyway. Okay, what's this one? Eyedrop fill. I think I had two of these, and I think this one I thought I could sell. To Cesar if he wants to buy this one. And this one, I think, also was a duplicate. I have in a drawer behind me, I'll take the drawer out and have you look at them. And you're going to say, why do you have so many, Pierre Gustafson? You should have maybe two only. This is an interesting thing for collectors. Do you need to have one of everything? Is that required? Let's say I was a coin collector and you have a penny and a nickel and a dime and a quarter and a 50-cent piece and a silver, a dollar coin. But people need them from every mint, right? You have to have a penny from this mint and that mint and the other mint. And then you have to have them from every year. And that's suddenly you have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of coins when you would think all you need is five: a penny, nickel, dime, quarter, half dollar, dollar. Maybe that's six. I didn't count how many. So, but collectors like having one of every single possible kind of coin there was. So with pens, yes, you can have one of every color, 51. So that might be, depending on how broad you want to be, it could include the aerometric and vacuumatic types. It can include the later renditions of the 51, not just the vintage ones, but the modern ones. And you might have, I don't know, 30 different ones. But then if you decide, well, I want to have this gray one with a gold cap and one with a sterling cap and one with another cap, then suddenly you have to multiply that number by 10 at least. And then if you want both the aerometric and the vacuumatic gray 51s, you need 3 instead of just 1. And if you want the first year 51 or the double jeweled 51, then you've got 4. And then if you want the first year 51, you've got 5. Multiply that by all of the frickin' numbers. Okay. gray 51s. There. Why do I need all of these gray ones, you ask? Well, I'll tell you. Okay, you have, these are the double jeweled ones that has this extra little bit on the end. You have, this is a first year end aluminum rather than that pearl color. Trying to find one that seems like I have a lot of ends that are pearl, but I don't have that many caps that are pearl. I mean, are aluminum. So I still don't have one of those. I need one for my collection, it looks like. There's a cap, and there's, see, this cap belongs on this other pen. This cap has the aluminum end, so that belongs on a pen that has an aluminum back end. That one. Now this is correct. Anyway, so you have the kind that have the two ends, one aluminum, one pearl. Then you have the kind that has the rounded ends. Then you have the short kind. Same, and actually the cap is shorter too. Short barrel. And then you have the different kinds of caps. You have the gold with the stripes. You have the gold with stripes and spaces. You have the signet cap that has this little extra band here. That was more an early version. It wasn't like you could, they gave up on that. You had this one, the metal cap with the gold band. This is kind of a rare cap. Then you had the luster light cap, with sometimes with the bands lines there and sometimes not. But the reason I have so many, and some of these are in fact duplicates, are I like pens that have engravings on them. This one says, "In memory of mother." I'm going to start to cry right this very second. I'm thinking of my mother now. Now I'm not thinking of my mother. Let's just think of happy things. So I have lots of reasons to want every single one of these, but these double jewel cap, this is like a $300 pen these days. I need $300 more than I need this pen. So I'm going to go through these maybe by the next pen show I go to and start saying I can say goodbye to these. The different colors are different batches, I think. You know, I'm sure someone has done an article about them and why, you know, they might have become lighter later, but that can't be right because I see some that have double jewels that are very light. Where's a double jewel that's really light? I thought I had one here. Here, see? That's really light compared to the barrel. And it might be different batches. This is lighter than the barrel, the end cap, the end one. Anyway, let me put these back. I can figure out how to do that. So in addition to the gray ones, this many gray ones, I also have this many black ones, and this many blue ones, and this many brown, cordovan brown ones. I only have about this many yellow and green ones, and I may have only one or two of the buckskin ones. Yes, nothing but Parker 51s. I think, Friedrich, you and I had talked about if you just had one example of all the different colors and sizes of a duofold, how many would you need? And you need at least 100, I would think. Maybe 150. You have the golf, ladies, junior, senior. Then you also need a duofold special, the skinny junior size but length of a senior. Those are pretty rare. Then you need streamline and standard. Then you need the late weird colors, the burgundy and the burgundy marbleized one, and the green, sea green one. Anyway, there's a bunch. Yellow for vacuumatic, plum for plum. And I can never tell whether this pen is plum or black or burgundy. Usually the burgundy I can tell. The plum I have to go outside in the bright sun or turn on every light in the room to see, oh my God, that is purple. Nassau green is such a beautiful color. That's a modern one. I'll be right back. You're in charge, Friedrich. Everyone get naked, new rules. Is that the new rule? Friedrich has is lucky in that he can be more or less naked because he lives at home, and when he comes on as a guest, he has the camera aiming up at his head. He usually puts a shirt on, but I don't think he puts pants on. But the camera doesn't aim at his pants. Because of my setup here, I aim my camera down. I do, in fact, put pants on. Just in case my camera falls off the tripod. But sometimes I don't have a shirt. Well, I almost always have a long sleeve shirt on because I hate my skinny arms. And truth be told, I also really don't like my hands. I think hands are the sexiest part of the body, and my hands are very wimpy. My father had beautiful hands. I inherited my mother's hands, I think. I inherited my mother's feet, that's for sure. Little tiny toes. You're learning so much about Pierre Gustafson that you now have to go to therapy to try to learn to forget. Oh my God, I used to like to watch Pierre Gustafson, but when he told me that he has ugly toes, he's ruined it. Okay, how come this is not coming off completely, Friedrich? What's the answer? I love when a sack entirely crumbles. You know, it's hard and it just breaks apart and everything comes off nice and clean. It's the ones that get gooey and they turn into chewing gum and molasses put together. Those are really hard to get off and clean, and hate that. I hate when they're gummy. They're just so awful. And I think that's a problem with some of the modern sacks I get from the pen sack company. They seem to go gummy quickly. They don't get hard. They get gooey and gummy. And it's like they didn't finish the process of making making it work. Anyway, so this and this can be resacked. I have to make sure to put a sack in that's not going to be too fat, because this has to screw in. And if it's too fat, it'll twist around each other and see, that's not going to work. This will. And I think if I put talcum powder on it, it screws on okay. This is about the size of the sack. I eyeball my sacks. I know that I could probably fit, sometimes I can fit a sack that's maybe just a little tiny bit longer in a pen, but I'm not that persnickety. Is it persnickety or pernickety? So today at 3:30, I'm going to be talking with Wasky for an hour or so. and that'll be fun. Wasky is a good pen friend of mine. He's just such a sweet man, and he just our Venn diagrams overlap, I think, a lot, but I think we differ in that I'm wacky. He's pretty full steam ahead kind of a guy. I'm wackier. We'll see how this conversation goes. I may need to keep both of these pens. Sorry, Friedrich. I mean, not Friedrich. Cesar, you're not going to get either one of these. This one, the cap doesn't really screw on as well as it should. It's so interesting, though, this hard rubber. It has a sort of velvet quality to it. You know what I'm talking about, Friedrich. You know that quality that I'm... Until he got popular and overwhelmed. In terms of when you were pen pals, meaning you wrote oh, the actual size, I was speaking more the length. Like I might trim them a little smaller than I should. And I shouldn't do that. I should, have them. That's a pretty sweet nib, that pen. Anyway, I'm going to sign off here, and I'll talk to you later. Levin, are you still in the room? Levin is studying in Germany. He's German, and he's living now, going to a school to learn a trade, an artistic trade. But he lives in I keep wanting to say Bayreuth, Berchtesgaden. In the room again, sir. So Friedrich and Levin. Friedrich, type something in German to Levin. He'll understand it. Gebensjager. Und dem Führerplatz. Friedrich is from Germany originally, born in Deutschland über alles. My German is only as good as Wagner, Hogan's Heroes, and Schubert Lieder. So that's as far as it goes. Winterströme wieche dem Wonnemund. I have to sing it though. Winterströmer wichern vorne Mond in mildem Licht, leuchtet der Lenz auf Lindenluften leicht und lieblich. That's from Act 1 of Die Werkchöre. And then, wer reitet so spät durch Nacht und Wind? Es ist ein Vater mit seinem Kind. Er hat den Knaben wohl in den Arm. Er reicht ihn sicher. Mein Sohn, was birgst du so bang dein Gesicht? Siehst Vater du dem Erlkönig nicht, dem Ehrenkönig mit Kronenschweif? Mein Sohn, es ist ein Nebelschreif. Du liebes Kind, komm, geh mit mir, gar schöne, etc. You like my German. Will you marry me, Levin? We've talked about this before. I proposed to him, evidently, on this very channel at one point because we spoke about how we both hate golf. Golf is a stupid game. And he said it. And I said, will you marry me? But then the Bavarians. Do Bavarians speak like we think Southerners speak in the United States? With kind of an accent or something? So, Levin, was that a gouache painting? And may I show the room you're painting that you sent me? The image you did? Levin is a talented artist. I think I told this joke just recently in this room, but I'll mention it again. Why is it so difficult to solve murders in Arkansas? The answer is, and you could make it any state you want to. You could make it be Maine. You could make it be Minnesota if you wanted to, but I heard it was Arkansas. All the DNA is the same, and there are no dental records. The colors faded within a few minutes of painting your picture. Can I show the people your picture, Levin? I don't know. You can show them, but I don't like it. I think it's lovely. It's a picture of the view from his house. And here is the beautiful blue mountains in the background. The pear and can of beer or whatever on the table. Anyway, very, very lovely, I think. There's a song, Friedrich, you remember the radio show called My Word from the BBC? Did you ever listen to that? Friedrich, my word. My word. It's a word game with Ann Scott James. My word.
And the marks will go to whichever incredible The BBC presents My Word.
That music, they also have a show called My Music with the same two guys, funny guys on it. And one of the questions was, what is the name of the music used as the theme song in My Music? And it's called Alpine what? Alpine Echoes? Alpine Memories? Alpine... Hold on, how do I make this work? It's a goofy little song. Alpine Music. My word, my word. BBC, BBC. No, it's not Alpine Symphony. Alpine, my word, theme song, theme tune. Alpine Pastures by Vivian Ellis. And it's a goofy song to go with the goofy show. So Friedrich, you can find hundreds of their programs on YouTube now. Just type in My Word, and they show they have 5 episodes, half-hour episodes in each YouTube video, and you'll really love it. It'll bring back memories of our misspent youth. So why is this sack is good? The reason that it didn't work was it was twisted, but the sack still works. Okay, guys, I have to go. Levin, I have a favor to ask you. Can we text a little bit right now via WhatsApp? Just to see how you're up, how you're going. You guess so. Okay. I won't bite, I promise. Bye, everyone. I'll see you today at 3:30 with Wasky. Bye.